Hey everyone, so this will be my first official YouTube video that I'm gonna try to post. So bear with me, still on the learning curve, trying to figure out how to videotape stuff and talk at the same time. It's definitely for me not as easy as turning the wrenches. So I just want to go over where I'm at. This kind of follows where I'm at in the Instagram posts. So if you don't follow my Instagram, it's Grom Swap the World, same handle as my YouTube. Want to talk about the 700 swap Grom, and want to say first that I still have the CB 500 swap Grom. I will do an overview. Maybe I'll try to do like a weekly video or something like that, or maybe I'll bang out a couple this weekend. But I do need to go over the actual outside overview and parts used and kind of what I learned from this, and then how I applied it to the 700 swap. So for those who don't know, this is a 23 Honda Grom with a 2022 Yamaha R7 700cc CP2 engine. I'll go over and I'll do an overview of this once I finish the 500 stuff. Maybe I'll flip flop between the two, try to keep it a little bit interesting. I guess I'm gonna figure out what works for me, and if you guys have any suggestions of what you want to see, just let me know, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube, or I even have a TikTok. Not too fond about the whole TikTok stuff. Just let me know, and I'm just gonna keep making these videos until either I get it down or I get tired of it, because it doesn't really matter if anyone watches this or if they like it or not, because it's always been kind of my dream to share my projects with people, other than just taking pictures. I just never had the courage to actually get behind a camera and talk. You know, public speaking wasn't my best subject. But anyhow, 700cc swap Grom. Gonna go over the three things that I've done to it thus far, and then where I'm going with a couple things, and then what we started with. So first things first, I today swapped out the rear sprocket. I was running a 32 tooth. I jumped it up to a 35 tooth. I have a bunch of sprockets from Steady Garage. They run these are just JT steel sprockets. They're lightened up a little bit. On this swap and on my CB500, I'm running a 520 chain. So Steady Garage sells these sprockets for the Groms that converts, or it still bolts into the Grom specific hub. So it's got the Grom bolt pattern, but it's a 520 chain. Maybe these for this 428 as well. For this one, I'm definitely staying with the 520. The 700 comes with a 525. Grom comes with a 420, and I'm gonna stick with the 520 for now. So the main reason for doing this is I got a bunch of sprockets for testing, basically. So I kind of guessed on this based off the CB500. That runs, I forget the front sprocket on that, and I think it might be a -1 from factory, but I don't know what factory is. So I run a 33 on the 500 and started off with a 32. That was pretty good because this accelerated just fine. It's quick enough to where I will have to get used to going full throttle in first gear and second gear, and I can get on it in third. I have gone 75 to 80% throttle first and second. I don't want anything to happen. So I swapped from the 32 to 35 to see if it'll maybe launch a little bit better, and maybe we can get a 0 to 60 time. I haven't really been able to launch it too much. I can, but I don't want to, because I'm still on the stock Grom axle. And next thing is in line here is the axle difference. So this is a stock 12 millimeter Honda Grom axle, about as big as your finger, or as wide as a finger. and I am swapping to a 20 millimeter axle. And this just so happens to be, I believe, a 2015 MT-07 axle. That's mainly why I haven't been getting on it, and why I don't have any videos of us launching it or it actually doing the power wheelies, because I've got that tiny axle in there still. So the swing arm's coming, it's ordered. They're making me Evo Swing Arm's making me a special swing arm for the Grom that has 20 millimeter axle adjusters in it. So I've got the bearings already. I just need the actual swing arm to start making it all fit together, measure for my spacers and get them machined and get them working. So what I'd like to do is once I get that in, then I can really mess around with the sprockets. I think I have as high as a 38 tooth. And the goal is just to get a decent 0-60 time and to take it to the track, go into the small bore rally, or the Smoky Mountain small bore rally in Tennessee this year, my first year, bringing this, and if I still have the CB500, bringing that as well. I'd like to maybe take it down the track myself, and I'd really like a couple of the people that have helped me out with this swap and on my CB500 swap, I'd like them to ride it and tell me what they think. I'm not trying to be the fastest Grom in the world. The CB500 was just to get into fabricating, and it was cool that all this stuff kind of worked together with the Grom stuff, like the dash. It was mainly just the dash, but keeping Honda with Honda, I thought that would be okay to do my first swap. And then this one, I mean, the CP2 just sounds so good. It makes 70 horsepower, 75 horsepower. I mean, it's not the most horsepower, and that's fine because it's a cool swap. I think it's a cool swap. It sounds really good with the baffle in, without the baffle in, even with the eBay exhaust, sounds phenomenal. Everybody says it sounds like a race car. So that's what I love. I love that it sounds meaty. Like it sounds like a giant pit bull rolling through, and then it's just a little chihuahua, you know? So, all right. I'm gonna have to figure out my tangents for these videos as well, because they do go over because I get to talking and my mind starts going. So did the sprocket swap, didn't ride it yet. We're gonna do some testing on that. I'll let you know how it goes. Next thing is the quick shifter I went with. So I put a quick shifter on here. Couple reasons why I went with this specific quick shifter. So I had this quick shifter on the 500, didn't really work that well. So I pulled it off that and decided that it is just gonna go on this. I'll try it out. So it's a Heel-Tech quick shifter. It's somewhat plug and play. You got one ground wire, a little control box, then the two wire connectors to the coils to cut the ignition. And then you have this little sensor here that goes on the shift linkage. It's really sleek, and it works really well on this. So it's super simple to set up, connects to your phone via Bluetooth. It's got default settings, and then you can mess with it a little bit. This, I initially just ran it on the default settings and got it kind of like just a quick get up and go. And I was really impressed. I don't know if it's because this is a cross-plane crank or what was up with the 500, but this is buttery smooth. I've since dialed it in, took the bike out and ran through a couple tanks of fuel, and it's buttery smooth. 10, 15, 20, 50 to 75 to 100% throttle. It is smooth. I really enjoy it. It's still a little jerky in first, second, and third. I think that just has to do with how fast you're accelerating and then how fast this thing slows down because of the added weight. So really like the Heel-Tech. There was another reason I kind of went with this, is because along with the ease of setup and the fact that I already had it, but on the Facebook pages, Grom, or the R7 owners, I think they kind of gravitate more to the plug-and-play stuff just because it's cleaner, and most people don't really buy a bike to work on it. They buy a bike to ride it, so they don't want to take it all apart to install an aftermarket part that's not Yamaha or brand specific. So the R7 guys, a lot of them ran either, whether it be the Yamaha one or some other brand. There's a handful of brands or companies that have the control box and everything on the actual shift linkage. I just tried to do as much research as I could from the Grom or the R7 guys. Maybe I should have looked into the MT07 guys, but a lot of them said that they had, you know, problems with it being too notchy or just didn't really act right with partial throttle stuff, only worked when it was full throttle. So the Heel Tech, it works flawlessly, and I'm super happy about that. So, and I didn't mind pulling it apart and installing it myself. I will say that I do use the quick shifter a decent amount because, you know, I bought it. It cost me a couple of bucks. I took the time to install it, and then I took the time to set it up. And if I'm gonna ride the bike, I'm not gonna put something on it that I'm not gonna use. So been really happy with that. It is just sleek. It's just that tiny little sensor. Just you wouldn't even know it was there if I didn't tell you. So, all right, sprocket, quick shifter. Now we get to get into what I'm really excited about, honestly. And it's just cool, just cool stuff, technologies and different things for different motorsports. So going to the small bore rally, I want a couple people to ride it. And I want someone to crack off a decent time if they can. I don't know what that would be, but, you know, something not horrible. But along with the quick shifter, I basically got to looking at drag racing stuff, and that brought me to look up air shifters because I could never figure out how bikes shifted so fast, and they didn't use their foot, and they didn't use the clutch. A variant of this, I'm sure, was a lot of people that I saw run. This is what they're using. So this is a air shifter, and this is a kit from 190 Hookup. I don't know if it's the owner or it must be the owner. But Rob Bush is over there at 190 Hookup. He got me set up with this. I didn't know what this was like a month ago. So I called before I ordered it, and I asked him all the stupid questions, you know, especially sounding stupid because I'm someone that's new to this, so I have my way of describing things, and everybody else in the industry or that's been around bike drag racing, they know what this is, and they have words for them. But most of these bits and pieces I'm familiar with. I've just never dealt with them on a motorcycle or in a motorcycle setting. So this is basically just a pneumatic plunger, uses air pressure, solenoid. And I want to say the story behind this and how I was going to mount it, because it's funny to me that this is my first time, so I don't know what's right or wrong. I can only watch so many videos before I come up with my own ideas to try to figure this stuff out. So Rob got me set up, and I was trying to figure out where I'm gonna put this, because on this bike the shift linkage is it's really close to the chain guard that goes here. Here's my chain guard, and you can see that I've actually notched it out to fit that linkage in there. So it kind of goes like that. But anyways, I notched that out. So this is already super close. So my thoughts when the shield is installed, or the cover, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to fit that there. So then I started looking at other options, and if I can't go forward, where are you going to go? Back or down? You can't go, well, you could go up, but I don't want to dig into this. My goal is to keep my body panels clean and stock appearing. So sorry about that little bucket I'm sitting on, but I started brainstorming, and I started thinking about Okay, if I do it below, well, there's not a ton of room, and then, well, my kickstand's right there, so that doesn't really work. And then if I, flip it back over, oh, well, the solenoid's hitting the kickstand. Okay, well, in my thought process, the next step was to go to the back. And I was honestly, when I ordered this is pretty much my idea. So towards the back, behind the rear set, and then I would just, I can't hold it and do it at the same time, but I was going to extend or make my own aluminum plate, kind of like here where I've extended this shift linkage or lever with the aluminum. I was just going to go down here. There's a hole that comes in these, and then I drilled my own hole when I was doing all this, but I was going to use those 2 holes and mount it at the back. But dang, that lever kind of gets a little long when you start thinking about it, which is great. It'd probably take 0 to no force to move that, but dang kickstand. And yes, I could do a kickstand that I mount on the swing arm, but when I get that evil swing arm in, I don't want to, put a kickstand on there and scratch it or anything. I'm kidding. But yeah, this was like kickstands in the way, okay. And then got to thinking during the small bore rally, I would really like to take my girlfriend out with me and cruise this thing with her on the back, make myself a little extended seat so she fits comfortably up there. And you start doing that, and as you notice, there's no rear pegs. So don't mind this bit. I still got to get some new hardware and get this thing mounted up. But you add the rear peg, and there goes all your space. So there's not really any way to move it any closer because you're going to run in the chain, and then you run in the swing arm. The kickstand's already there. So this has been a long rant. I apologize. It's just I got to get how this went for me out, because it's just funny how someone that hasn't done anything in the motorcycle world, like the stuff that doesn't occur to me, or I do have some good ideas, but anyhow, so then the thought was, okay, move it forward then. I'm just gonna have to trim out that panel. It is what it is. It did look super clean, but it almost has to go in the front now. So I started looking at spaces, and I'm like, well, I got a spot there. I could just extend aluminum. Ultimately, that's what I'm gonna do. But I started looking at places to mount it, and dang, that looks pretty dang close. So get this, guys, because I thought I was honestly on board with this. It lines up perfectly with the shifter shaft. And all it is this little bolt on the end of here. It's machined down. So all I was gonna do is, if I can get this unscrewed, maybe I can show you a better way. But, and I totally thought this was gonna work. I thought it was a great idea. Super clean. But I was gonna take my bolt and put it directly into the shift shaft. Or the shifter shaft, yeah. That's it. But, now that I'm actually looking at it up there, it is funny. But I was like, I don't know, because this arm needs to pivot, and everything that you read about mounting it says you don't want it to be moving. It needs to be loose on this bolt, so it's got to be able to pendulum on that bolt, move, side to side or forward to back. But I was fully on board with drilling that out, tapping that hole, and sticking that screw right in there. And then, get this, it would look super clean. They'd be at the same angle. I don't have to add much aluminum. But ultimately, it didn't go with that. And, sorry about that. Ooh. But ultimately, at the back, the shaft is too big, or the actual linkage is too big. So I'm going to make my own little triangle, either aluminum, or I'll use some steel, 1/8-inch steel. That'd be a little heavy, but I'm not too concerned about weight. I'm not going for a world record here or anything, but the idea is to have it mounted like this. It will push the shifter down because this is set up for GP shift, And there's no rhyme or reason for that other than the shift linkage looked cleaner doing that, other than swapping it around here, and then I'd have to cut a bigger hole out of that. I'm glad I didn't do that, because everything happens for a reason. Now my shift or air shifter will go, I think it's right about there-ish. So I'm gonna make my mount so that the air shifter and the shift linkage is, they're both parallel, and then go below my actual shift linkage. And that actually lines up perfectly with adding another piece of 1/4 inch thick aluminum. I'm just gonna add into this one, drill a hole, add in. It is gonna look a little janky, but I don't want to do it in steel and get a thin piece. The aluminum's lighter, it looks just as good, if not a tad worse. But I'm just gonna add myself a little piece here, put my two holes. The little clevis will go around it, pop the pin in, and then we will be shifting off the horn button. So that's the little update. I did get into the air shifter stuff because of the drag racing stuff, as well as the swing arm that's coming from Evil. It's got a built-in air tank. I want to put an air compressor on it because it kind of makes the air shifter obsolete on the street, because it'd just be a party trick, because you could hit it, you could shift through the gears once, and then the tank would be empty. If I could somehow fit a small air compressor, which I'm thinking I could, maybe behind this panel or the other side, if I could fit a little air compressor, that would be so cool, because then my buddy that's going to ride it on the street, he could just get on, try to run it as fast as he can, and then just push the horn button. So another thing with that Rob Bush kit, you get everything you need. So the plunger, the solenoid, you get some 1/4 inch push lock, and then this is the gauge and all the extra push lock fittings. I can't say enough about that company. The 180 hookup, Rob Bush, he was super helpful, super nice, and I really like meeting people like that, or talking to people like that in any motorsports community, because at the end of the day, everybody's got to start somewhere. And if you're mean and brash and kind of deter people from wanting to join the sport because of the way you acted towards them for no apparent reason, then it just doesn't add anybody else to your sport. And the people that are trying to figure it out, they might give up after that. So anyhow, I think this went on long enough. Guys, let me know if you like these videos. I'm gonna try my best to stop or lessen the interrupts I have, or the tangents I go on. It's just, I get so excited about it and sharing every little detail that, to me, I'm not trying to mansplain it to anyone. It's just because I want to kind of convey how it goes through my head sometimes. And I hope you guys think this is cool, and look out for more stuff. There's only, it's only up from here, because I don't think you can get any kind of more nervous or worse than this, or go on tangents. So I'm gonna try, man. Why not? So look out for the next update video thing on the CB500 Grom. It will probably have some for sale information in it. I'll answer any questions you have on it. And if you guys have, guys or girls, my apologies, if y'all have any questions or anything, just make a comment. If you don't want to comment, you can message my Instagram. Even my personal Instagram is on there. I check that fairly often. That's it. I should probably cut it off there. If I stop before 25 minutes, we're good, right? All right, y'all take it easy.